Hey guys, Omni here. Last night I watched Kate over on Netflix. This is the latest new IP to be added into the ever-growing popularity of the assassin action drama, as made popular by things like Taken, John Wick, that whole shtick. If you're interested in my reaction to this film, there is a full length over on my Patreon, or if you become a member here on the channel, we'll get you access to that as well. I'll be honest, I was a little on guard with it, despite having Mary Elizabeth Winstead in here, who I love, and she's been fantastic in most everything that I've seen her in. Like, even in Gemini Man, I thought she was the best thing in that, and I thought very similar kind of role. She did a lot of action in that. I think that would carry over in here, so high hopes for this. I also had similarly high hopes for Gunpowder Milkshake, but I had my review on that, and it kind of soured me on this approach. And I was kind of had my reserves on this as well, since it was going to be a Netflix film also. But Mary Elizabeth is also joined by Miku Martineau, who is the child she kind of picks up along the way in this, also kind of keeping in with that typical new trope to add a kid into it to kind of humanize and give a connection to our assassin. And then also, who I forgot was in this, even though he's in the trailers a couple times, Woody Harrelson. Completely forgot he was in this by the time I was actually sitting down to watch it. And, the chemistry that he and Mary Elizabeth have is just really strong. Actually, to be honest, I think the chemistry that Mary Elizabeth has with everybody in this film is really strong. From the interactions with the villains, for the interactions with the child, with Miku, it's really pulls you into it. And what I really appreciate that I feel like Gunpowder kind of struggled a little bit with, and I'm sorry if I keep making the comparisons between those two, but they're the most two recent things that I've tried this. Both of them are on Netflix, so it's kind of like the easy parallel. This has a very consistent tone throughout. It takes itself seriously, and when the humor comes in, it makes sense with the characters, the situations, and the moments. There's a lot of heart built into this story, and it keeps things simple. It's not trying to do like a John Wick copy and paste in the vein of trying to establish this mysterious world and the way it works. Like, the way this movie is framed, it is very much set in the real world. It has real world organizations, real world consequences, and they stick to that. It keeps itself grounded, and it doesn't get more complicated than it needs to be. It's very straightforward. While on a hit, she ends up poisoned. She starts to track down try to figure out who poisoned her, and it becomes this mission of revenge. I will say that the biggest drawbacks to this film is that it does have a little bit of a paint by numbers feel to it. It's predictable. What it does something very familiar, but it does it really well. At the same time, that's, for a lot of people, it's not going to help it exceed expectations. I think that's where it lives up. It just meets expectations. It doesn't really go much higher than that. What I think it does exceed a little bit for me because of the stylization, the setting, and just the gravitas that all of the performers bring to every role in this movie. Elevates what is basically just a paint by numbers assassin script, revenge script. And that's the only thing that I think really holds this film back, is it's not really, I don't expect this movie to really blow anybody away. I had a lot of fun with it. It does have a hard R, and it is very brutal. And that is another thing that I think is going to change this up a little bit for some people as well, because it does add a level of violence that we don't see too often in this genre. I think John Wick has been getting there. Gunpowder was almost there, but this one kind of like, it goes pretty hard with some of the violence in the movie. But again, like I said, it always keeps it grounded. It keeps it real. It keeps it straightforward. We don't have too many characters. We got a very straightforward plot. It does all of that very well. And a lot of the action is very well executed. I will say there is like a 1 or 2 shots in here where you can tell like they didn't have another take, or that was their best take, and it was just like a little bit of a slow choreography in some of the fights to keep things moving. I feel like maybe in the editing bay they maybe could have sped that up to kind of keep the action flowing, but there's a couple of times throughout, but not to the extent like with Gunpowder with that bowling alley scene. Ugh, God, that was the worst scene in that entire film. But in this, we don't have anything quite like that, but there are a couple of scenes where you can tell they're not the take they went with. They weren't 100% sold on the choreography, or their editor forgot to match speed with these things and they kept it at the real-time pace. Because a lot of the times, sometimes they film action scenes at a slower pace and they will speed it up in post to keep the action intense and flowing. And I don't know if this is either A, they didn't have enough preparation for a few of these fight scenes, and that's why some of them, they're still well done, but they are slow. Or if they forgot to speed it up. But all in all, a lot of the action scenes are really exciting. They're very kinetic. They're really energetic. The twists in here, I think they were pretty easy to call for the most part. But Woody Harrelson does fantastic. What do you expect? It's Woody Harrelson. Mary Elizabeth Winstead gives a powerful performance in here, and this Miku Martineau, who comes in here, who generally, I always find it kind of like hard to connect with the child characters sometimes that they interject into these situations, but I really liked this character that they created and crafted around her. I really liked what she brought to the role and how she brought it to life, and this kind of bond that they create between her and Mary Elizabeth. And again, it works better than Gunpowder Milkshake because there's some similar parallels you can draw between their relationship and how they get involved throughout the story, which this actually addresses much better and handles much better. I'll say this movie handles everything much better, except I will say that it doesn't have any of the camp that Gunpowder had. Gunpowder lived in a world of lore. It was kind of like pseudo-aware and campy, and that kind of helped you get through a lot of it. This, like I said, grounded, mostly realistic to a lot of degrees. I think this is probably one of the more realistic assassin action films we've had in a while. But I don't imagine it blowing many people away. But it will meet expectations. I think it will, if you want to just check out another one of these films, you want to see some cool action, some violence, and Mary Elizabeth kicking some ass, I highly recommend this movie. I really enjoyed it. I did record my reaction for the Patreon since this is a streaming film. I recorded my full-length watch-along for this. If you want to check that out over on my Patreon, it's over there. If you want to join, again, like that, just helps support the channel, helps me put out these reviews, help me cover more shows, help me get an editor, and that's your way to help. Otherwise, you can like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. That helps as well. But I want to know what you guys thought. Let me know what you thought of this film if you've checked it out yet. I know it just came out earlier this week, so I want to know your thoughts. So sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends, Mandy Sherritt, Ryan Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yuri Korskov, and Margaret Grace. You can also join our Discord and come and hang out and talk about the movie there or anything else you want to talk about, because we have a bunch of different channels for a bunch of different topics. So you can join that. Links to that and all my socials are in the description of this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.